Hello, everybody, and welcome to Travel Tips Tuesday. Good to see you all tonight. I'm using some brand new equipment that I just bought recently, so to kind of hopefully add some people in the future into the show live. My wife Tanya will be acting as my co-host coming up here pretty soon. In fact, she'll be joining us next week. So I tried to balance out everything and do as much testing as possible, before we were done. But I want to make sure that everything sounds good. If you can hear me well, please let me know by just giving me a thumbs up or dropping something in the comments. And just giving me a meaningless shout out or shameless plug or wherever you are. We'll love for you to let me know to make sure that we can hear each other tonight. So we should be able to, but sometimes technology doesn't cooperate, especially when we go live with different things. So this portion of things will not be in the recorded version that goes out, so you won't hear that. But if you all can hear me, please say hello. Would love to know that you are here with us today, and would love to be able to hear. Looks like we can hear each other. There we go. All right, cool stuff. Thank you, everybody. Awesome. I kind of went to my own feed and just kind of pulled it up there. So we're good. Awesome. Cool stuff. So I hope everybody's doing well. We took a week off last week to kind of rest up a little bit. Christmas week, a lot going on. I'd also just gotten back from a phenomenal trip to Walt Disney World and just kind of took a week to just sort of hang out and chill, but wanted to pop on this week and tell everybody a bunch of, kind of announce a few things that are coming and also dig into some content and take a look back. So I know I'm not alone in doing this. So this is somewhat not an original idea as far as like our topic and our content from tonight. In fact, the Travelmation podcast, kind of our agency's flagship podcast, and I'm not like an official Travelmation podcast by any means. I'm a guy that's a Travelmation agent that happens to have a podcast. But anyway, they came out as the 12th, I think the top 12 out of the top 100. They were the 12th top, if I can talk tonight, 12th top Disney podcast, which is pretty awesome. But they actually covered in their episode that dropped yesterday, kind of looking back at 2021, but also looking forward to 2022. We're going to be spending most of our time tonight looking back into 2021 and kind of seeing where everybody's at. And want to give people a quick preview of where we're going. This is our question of the day that we're going to be sort of digging into, and that's going to be providing a lot of our content and our conversation for tonight. So if you want to drop it into the comments, feel free to go ahead and do that now, or you can in just a little bit as well when I put this back up here. But that is, what has been your top travel memory for 2021? What has been your top travel memory from 2021? A lot of people that we know are still traveling right now, which is great. I've got some folks that are down at Walt Disney World right now that I've been working with for several months for a big special anniversary trip. They're doing a split stay between Disney's Disney's Animal Kingdom Lodge and also Disney's Grand Floridian Resort and Spa. So pretty excited for them. They're having a great time, and know some other folks that are down there right now as well. I will be back going down there here pretty soon also, and we'll be talking about that in tonight's show. So that's our question of the day, but let's go ahead and get started, shall we? Tonight, actually, let's back up. I won't let smacking sound. Here we go. Tonight, this is Travel Tips Tuesday, and it is December the 28th, 2021. Our question of the day is this: what has been your top travel memory from 2021? What has been your top travel memory from 2021? So 2021, in a lot of ways, has been a reset year for the travel industry as we sort of pivot and shift, deal with future cruise credits from, the cruising industry, sort of figuring out how to rebook things and plan trips that had been set aside or rescheduled, multiple times in some cases, or outright canceled, plan special celebrations, all those sorts of things, all those sorts of normal trips that you now have to figure out how to plan in a different way to still sort of accomplish your goal of making some fantastic memories along the way, sort of constantly rechecking and checking protocols and what's out there, right, as far as travel requirements for international and in some cases domestic destinations that are out there. So 2021 was a crazy year for travel. It was also an exciting year for travel, and there were a lot of amazing people that went on some awesome trips. Not just the folks that I know, or even myself or my own family, but also some other people that I worked with, and some other folks that I've just had the chance to follow along in their journey on social media and kind of through word of mouth. So, which is awesome. Like, there's so much to see, there's so much to do, there's so much to encounter out there in the world, and so many amazing memories to create. I'm so glad so many people got to go to so many amazing places in 2021. So again, I would love to hear from you. What has been your top travel memory from 2021? We're going to drop into the earlier news feed on my personal Facebook page that kind of dropped in as sort of the pre-show conversation starter and take from some of those, right? We're going to take from some of those folks, and I'm only going to mention first names from those. So if you do happen to comment live, just note that your first and last name will be up there. So we're going to be talking about 2021, where we went, what we did, and what we accomplished this year, because we're still technically in 2021. Again, I mentioned earlier that I have some people that are still traveling now. Some of you may still have some travel plans the next few days as this year wraps up as well, which is great. So let's talk very quickly before we get into our discussion tonight about some travel news. Some exciting things are happening down at Walt Disney World. First and foremost, the Indiana Jones Epic Stunt Show Spectacular is back at Walt Disney World. It opened just about a week or so before Christmas, so it's been back roughly about a couple of weeks now, and it is a phenomenal show. It is so fun. It is one of those for me that evokes a lot of childhood memories. Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, the third Indiana Jones movie starring Harrison Ford, was the first real live action film I saw in a movie theater as a kid, and I was scared out of my mind during that movie and had to conveniently go to the bathroom multiple times, which kind of drove my parents crazy, especially my dad, because I think I was there with him. But I loved it. Like, I enjoyed it. It was a great movie, and because of my love for the Indiana Jones franchise, I really enjoy this particular show. Going back to it time and time again, even if you know what's going to happen. And there's been a couple of slight modifications, but still a lot of fun. Still, it's sort of an attention grabber and draws you in. Still the great special booming pyrotechnic and special effects that we're used to in the stunt work, and the sword work and all those things, like the big giant boulder that rolls down, and all that stuff is still there, and it's so exciting. In fact, when I was there doing a live sort of remote podcast, which we may drop in, we had some audio trouble while we were there, but we may drop that into the podcast feed eventually. But when we were there, you could actually hear some of the rehearsals of the pyrotechnics going on in the background, because I was kind of in close proximity to the Epic Stunt Show Spectacular. So that was pretty fun. Again, we're talking about tonight where we went in 2021. We're going over some quick news. We mentioned the Epic Stunt Show Spectacular is back. Also, Typhoon Lagoon, Blizzard Beach has been open, but will actually be closing if it hasn't already. But Typhoon Lagoon will be reopening on January 2nd, which is awesome. Those cast members have been called back. All sorts of training and refurbishments. The wave pool is set up. The chairs are set up. All those sorts of things. So we're excited to see Typhoon Lagoon back in Disney's other water park, back open, rocking and rolling. I want to give you all a real quick note tonight while we're kind of talking about news and travel about Adventures by Disney. We don't talk about Adventures by Disney a lot, and it's been a while since I've mentioned them. But Adventures by Disney, for those of you that don't know, is not just some like, oh, you're going to go to Disney World on an adventure or something like that. No, it is not that at all. It is what I like to call, this is sort of my own phraseology. This is not official Disney terminology, but it is a mostly inclusive, behind-the-scenes travel experience that you will have at top destinations around the world, like Machu Picchu in Peru. Been to Machu Picchu personally, have not been on an Adventures by Disney trip with them, but places like Machu Picchu, going to see the Vatican in Rome, or even some domestic spots in and around the United States. There you have destinations on multiple continents, all across Europe, all across Asia, and it is so cool to see the opportunities that they have. They provide a couple of guides with you that are experts. One's expert in the culture. One will be there with you at all times at all these points of destination. Sometimes they'll have additional folks that'll gather with you along the way. They have meals that are planned. They have sort of behind the scenes fast pass like access to places like. Let's see here, I would say the Vatican, Sistine Chapel, just stuff like that. Being able to get in there where you don't have to wait in those incredibly long lines and worry about paying, because all those admission fees, all those things are paid for and set up for in advance. And this is not just your normal land tour experience. It is, again, a mostly inclusive experience with almost the toppest level of service that you could ever experience. From the food to the attractions to the hotels are included. Basically everything that you can possibly think of, from the time your plane touches down to when you get off, to the time when you get back to the airport to head back home, is taken care of. There's some free time built in there. There's a little bit of flexibility built in, so not every single moment of your trip is planned down to the possible second, because they want to give you some time to experience the local culture in areas and do some things on your own, maybe even a meal on your own, something like that. But a lot of things are planned. So, and the people that are there with you are there to help answer your questions. Now, that's my real quick spiel about Adventures by Disney. One of the things I do want to say about them is that they are the top-rated Disney destination experience anywhere in the world. They have the highest guest satisfaction rate, the highest return rate, comparatively speaking, out of any experience that's out of any of the theme parks, cruise line stuff, any of that around the world. Absolutely incredible. Again, behind the scenes, very almost personalized type experience for families. They do have some adults only options as well. So bring that up just to say that they do have a river cruising section of Adventures by Disney, where they partner with some amazing river cruising lines that are over there. And again, the Disney folks are with you every step of the way while you're on those river cruising. And there's a really good option to book a trip with them, and that is through Adventures by Disney. Guests can save up to $500 per person on select 2022 Danube and Rhine River cruises. And those are for departures that are booked between December 28th, so today, and February 28th, 2022, for travel from June 26th and August 4th, 2022. So availability is limited and excludes certain category staterooms and whatnot, but it's just an opportunity to save a little bit, because this is one of those things, kind of like Disney Cruise Line, that they don't typically take a lot off of. It is a very high return rate, a very exclusive experience. And Travelmation, as an agency, is actually partnered with a former Walt Disney World Imagineer to Tony Baxter, to kind of take some folks to Egypt and do something that is sort of a once-in-a-lifetime kind of thing, where Tony is there with you to sort of walk alongside of all the guests that are there, in addition to the Adventures by Disney folks that are there with you, to sort of take you into a story. And that's what these Adventures by Disney guides are. They're not just the chaperones that are there to sort of make sure you get off the bus, make sure you get on the bus, and those kinds of things, but they draw you into the story of the culture and the history and the experiences of where you are. So I highly, highly, highly recommend Adventures by Disney if you're thinking about a special trip for 2022 or beyond, because they have some other itineraries that are beginning to be open as well. So just to kind of throw that out there, let y'all know, that is the sort of the bulk of that little spiel for you tonight. Also, moving forward, and this tonight I'm wearing, if you can't see if you're listening out there in podcast land, I'm wearing my 2013 Walt Disney World Marathon race shirt. This is back in the day when they were still put out there by Champion. The quality of the shirts was a little bit higher than they are now, from what I understand. But starting next week, on next Thursday, I will be starting a journey to complete the Dopey Challenge, where Thursday will be the 5K, Friday will be the 10K, Saturday will be the half marathon, and that Sunday will be the full marathon. So very excited about that, very nervous, something I've been planning for and waiting for quite some time. My family sacrificed a lot of time to be able to allow me to sort of do a lot of these training runs and different things. We'll be sacrificing time while I've we'll be away for that. But as many of you know, it's been a goal of mine for some time to be able to accomplish this. And, again, I'm excited. There's all sorts of, conversation going about, what weather's going to be like and all the things to pack and kind of how to get there. And it's going to be several early mornings. On the tail end of the race weekend will also be the 2022 Travelmation Retreat. We will celebrate the 50th anniversary of Walt Disney World. We'll also celebrate the 10th anniversary of the company as well. There'll be around 400 agents or so that are there, and I'm very excited for it and all the things we're going to be able to see and do and learn and experience together at Walt Disney World, learning about Disney destinations like Adventures by Disney and Walt Disney World and Disney Cruise Line and Disneyland and others that are out there, and learning about some things that are to come. And also, we'll be spending a little bit of time playing around and hanging out at Universal Orlando. So I will be throwing a lot of content your way on social media here on these channels that you're listening to live tonight on YouTube, the official Travel Tips Tuesday Facebook page and my personal Facebook page, as well as Instagram and TikTok. If you do not follow me on the Instagrams or the TikToks, as the kids say, they don't say it like that. But if they did, you would find me at Travelmation John. That's at Travelmation John. You can find me there. Again, at Travelmation John on Instagram and TikTok. I only have 3 TikTok videos up because I started that a couple of weeks ago while we were at Walt Disney World. So we'll be adding some more things there soon. We'll love a follow there, and feel free to comment along as we dig into that craziness that is social media. So next week, we'll be having a special episode as we kind of look back at the trip my wife and I took together to Walt Disney World. I was actually on an agent education program at Walt Disney World, stayed at the Disney's Grand Floridian Resort and Spa. It was wonderful. Spent several days in the parks and ate some amazing food and got to experience a lot of cool stuff along the way to sort of better equip myself, to better equip my clients to come to Walt Disney World and experience some really neat things. So was very glad to be able to do that and represent Travelmation. While I was there, I was the only Travelmation agent that was there, but there were about 35 other agents from around the country and even from Canada that were there as well. So very excited to kind of be there and hang out with them. And my wife was there. She did her own thing. She kind of ate her way around the International Festival of the Holidays at Epcot and did a bunch of other stuff. So we'll get her take on her experience as well while she was there, and we were able to do a couple of things together. So look forward to having her join me next week for Travel Tips Tuesday next Tuesday. A week after that, we're going to try to do a live episode from Walt Disney World. Not really sure where that's going to happen or what time or anything like that, but we will be doing one, and hopefully reception will be better than it was last week, but we shall see. But anyway, we'll be doing something, trying to make it happen for you to get you all some great content while we are down at Walt Disney World for the marathon weekend and also the Travelmation retreat. It'll be a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Be good stuff. Cool. All right. Well, thank y'all for joining me. We're going to check the comments real quick light. My buddy, David Madron, he's one of my best pals at Travelmation, a solid guy from Texas. He says, retreat time, baby, 100%. Absolutely. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be a lot of fun. And then also Harmonious. Yes. Look, I'm going to pause for a second. I hadn't planned on talking about this, but because he put this up there, Harmonious, one word. If you have not been back to Walt Disney World recently and you are just thinking about a trip, make sure you plan to go see Harmonious at Epcot. If you only have a chance to choose one nighttime show between Disney Enchantment, which is a very fine show at Magic Kingdom, or maybe some fireworks at Disney's Hollywood Studios if they happen to be happening, or if it's further in the 2022 and you hear this and Fantasmic is back. I love Fantasmic. Looking forward to the new scene that's going to be there. Make sure you go see Harmonious at Epcot. Carve out that time. Be in your spot at least an hour in advance if it's a normal night. If it's a holiday night or a holiday weekend, you might want to give yourself a little bit more leeway there. But make sure you plan to go see Harmonious. It is an absolutely incredible show. Wonderful. The colors, the music, the pyro that's there. Yes, the Stargate water screen thing that everybody gives Disney a hard time about because it's kind of an ice order in the middle of the day. But it looks phenomenal at night. I took so many pictures from it, took an entire video of it and all the things. I mean, I love this show. The soundtrack, by the way, is also on Spotify. Thank you, Matt Appleby from the Imagineers podcast, also fellow Travelmation agent as well. He mentioned that on a recent episode of their podcast, The Imagineers. Matt Appleby and Susie Bryan, that co-host that show, phenomenal content. They do a great job as well, and I love the way they sort of bring in their listeners each and every week. So Harmonious, go see it. It's a reason just to go to Epcot. Love, love, love that show 100 times. Can't talk about it enough. All right, so where do we go in 2021? We went a lot of different places. Yes, Disney. Yes, Universal. Yes, cruise lines and all-inclusives for some. But there's some other experiences in there that some people had a chance to see and go and create some memories. And we're going to get into some of that content tonight. And I'm going to kind of go, again, line by line here and sort of give y'all an update on some places that I went, but also some friends of mine went as well as some of my clients. So one of our friends, and actually a childhood friend and client of mine, her name is Laura. She says, honestly, the time we spent at the Victoria Falls Lounge at the Animal Kingdom Lodge and the Strong Water Tavern at Sapphire Falls. That makes me sound like a lush, but really we enjoyed chatting with the bartenders at both and had some super unique experiences there. This is one of the things where you're like, oh yeah, okay, so Disney, Universal, sure, whatever. They're going to have a bar, they're going to have a lounge where people can just sort of hang out and relax. But a lot of times they will have stories and they will have experiences that they can share, little tidbits and unique facts that can sort of really plus your experience in your stay. This is one of those things that if you do, you go into like one of these lounges or, really well themed, bars, establishments, or whatever, slow down. Like, talk to the cast members that are there. Some people are just there to grab something and get out. You're there for a specific reason. But I encourage you to do something where you're just going to be able to park yourself for a little bit, respect the time of the people there that are there around you and whatnot, and of course the servers and the staff, the cast members. But take your time to allow yourself to be drawn into the story and talk to the people that are around you, because there's a lot of cool stuff that you might miss if you don't do that. Jen says, going to Disney and meeting tons of wonderful people, including Chris and Susan Edwards of Ear to Ear Magic. Love Chris and Susan from Ear to Ear Magic. They do a lot of phenomenal stuff. Susan is one of the most hardest working folks that I know, as well as Chris does. But Susan is responsible for a special section of Travelmation where we're able to give some lovely gifts to our clients. So if you are listening to this and you're a client of mine and you've received a Travelmation treat, that is courtesy of me, but Susan Edwards is the one that put all those together, and she does a great job with it each and every week. Just a way that we sprinkle some pixie dust towards our clients when we are able to. Rachel says, taking my dog to the beach for the first time. I bet that was so fun. Just being able to see dogs splash around the water and the ocean is a lot of fun. Dave says, being at Walt Disney World for the 50th. Jen said that also. That's kind of a theme from a bunch of people that I've talked to. And even in the Imagineers podcast episode last week, they celebrated Festivus. And yes, they had the airing of the grievances, if you're familiar with that. I kind of a Seinfeld reference there. But in their airing of the grievances, they talked a good bit about the 50th anniversary at Walt Disney World. But there are a lot of things that went really well. The cast members were awesome. I loved Harmonious. Was definitely like a top level experience for me as far as the 50th anniversary goes. There were a bajillion people. I say that word a lot. It's not even a real thing, I don't think. But yes, there were a bajillion people gathered around World Showcase on the night of October 2nd when I saw Harmonious for the first time. Phenomenal show, and great experience. And there were a lot of great things that happened at Walt Disney World over the 50th. There's some things that could have gone better too, and there's some surveys floating around out there from Disney to try and gather some data, if you will, on sort of the what went wrong mentality with all that. But Disney does do a great job, and hopefully we'll see more 50th celebration things as we roll along through the next few months, because that whole, again, 50th anniversary celebration at Walt Disney World will last a period of 18 months that started back on October 1st of 2021. Steve says, Charleston, friendly people, great history, great food, fun side trip to Greenville's LaRue Fine Chocolate, and a visit to looks like see some friends and family, which is pretty cool as well. So I love Charleston, South Carolina. It is one of my favorite cities, seriously, one of my favorite cities on the East Coast of the U.S. There's a lot of history in that city as well, a lot of great food, a lot of great things to see. If you want a horse and buggy ride, if you want if you like the same vibe that like a Savannah, Georgia has, but maybe a little bit more. Charleston, Savannah are different places, but the vibe is very, very similar between kind of both spots. A lot of great things to see and do and experience in Charleston, and would definitely recommend it as a possible location, maybe for like a weekend getaway or a trip or something of that nature to kind of check out. Susan says Yosemite, simply amazing, and I replied back to her earlier. Yosemite National Park out in California, just outside of San Francisco, a little bit. Great place. Like if you have never been to Yosemite or you've never been to a national park, go. Definitely put Yosemite on your list. I had the chance to go out there at least once, if not twice. I think when I was younger, as a kid, with my family, sort of a childhood trip sort of thing. And we went through Muir Woods. We got to see all the redwoods. We went to Yosemite and got to see, Half Dome and El Cap and all these amazing like rock formations that were there. And we went on a lot of hiking as well and got to see all the things and just a lot of incredible memories from that trip. There's something very jaw-dropping and incredible about going into our nation's national parks and just sort of like stopping for a minute, because like it's not like going to, say, Walt Disney World. It's not like a cruise. It's not like an all-inclusive trip, or even like an Adventures by Disney experience, though Adventures by Disney does have some stuff that they will do in destinations like Yosemite, sort of with encountering the outdoors and whatnot. So they do have some stuff like that, but something in and of itself about going into a national park, especially one that's as massive as like Yosemite or even Yellowstone, the Grand Tetons, or like Glacier National Park, or even one that's more closer to where I live in the Great Smoky Mountains. These places where you can just kind of go and almost, well, in some cases, literally get lost in the wilderness, which is not advisable. But these places where you can go and see the vast expanse of nature and wildlife, and it just sort of takes you back. It causes you to pause for a little bit, like. If you're like me and you go on vacation and you have trouble like adjusting a little bit to like, oh wait, you're not on all the time, like you can switch off and focus with what's just around you, like I would recommend going on a trip like that, because it'll be an amazing, incredible experience for you along the way for sure. Love Yosemite. And by the way, I had a childhood obsession with Ansel Adams and his kind of photography that he's well known for in and around Yosemite. So good stuff. Lauren says Carnival Mardi Gras cruise, so the newest Carnival ship that's out there with some of the best agents around. Several Travelmation agents went on a cruise on the Carnival Mardi Gras a few months ago, kind of kick off that particular ship, and had a lot of fun, and they shared some awesome memories of that on social media. It was good to see that. Kayla says it's tough to pick just one. She and her husband did 5 adult-only getaways in 2021. They love experiencing it. Experienced Las Vegas for the first time, the trolley ride New Orleans, romantic dinner for 2 at Topolino's Terrace. That's down in Walt Disney World at Disney's Riviera Resort. The hot tub on the back deck overlooking the river, all sorts of things. I'm assuming she probably might mean New Orleans there too. Our goal is to do 1 adult-only overnight date a month and a long weekend every 2 to 3 months. That's awesome. That's awesome for y'all. That's so cool. I love being at Disney on the 50th as well. Yeah, with 2 good friends. And as she is typing this, I am understanding why my children made comments about how much I traveled in 2021. Well, there you go. All right. So cool, though. Like, I bet y'all created a lot of great memories. That's really fun. Heather says, finally being back in Walt Disney World. That's pretty cool. Bobby, another awesome Travelmation agent, and some of these folks that commented, by the way, are Travelmation agents, but not everyone. A lot of them are. So I'm going to actually go ahead. Let's back up. I'm going to pause. Hit the pause button. Not literally. I'll put this up on the screen for anybody that's popping on. What has been your top travel memory from 2021? I'm reading off some that have already been commented, but if you would like to share live, feel free to do that, and I will drop those in the comments, and we can chat about it for a bit. Awesome. So Bobby, another awesome Travelmation agent that I'm looking forward to seeing here in just a couple of weeks at the retreat. She says she has a couple. 2, Jamaica for my 3rd visit, but first time having my husband with me. We drove in the real countryside with real Rastas and saw the true lives, not the tourist views. That's so cool. Like, when we go to like a lot of these destinations, like I don't know, maybe Jamaica, or it can be somewhere domestic. Like ask don't just like, oh, what do the locals eat or what do the locals do? If you have the opportunity and the flexibility, and you feel safe enough and all those things, because you do have to watch out for yourself and those around you, and you're connected well, I would recommend maybe stepping off the beaten path a little bit. Don't do anything that's unsafe or unwise, things like that. Be smart about it, but try and take more of an authentic experience instead of just that's what I'm trying to say. Try and take more of an authentic experience in some of these destinations, because you will have more of an appreciation for the culture, the food, the scenery, the stories behind them. Because in a lot of our destinations, and again, that's one of the things I keep bringing up Adventures by Disney, but that's one of the reasons why people love them so much, is because they sort of draw you into the story. They let you see things from a perspective that most people coming in and out of these spots that a lot of people may see don't often notice or don't often see. So they sort of draw you into it. The second one for Bobby would be Walt Disney World on the 50th, October 1st, 2021, being 50 years old, and knowing my grandparents who meant the world to me, brought me here 50 years ago, opening weekend in 1971. That is so cool, Bobby. I think I remember hearing that from you at some point. But being there, wow, on the opening weekend of the 50th, so fun. Wow, y'all, this is a lot of great content for tonight. A lot of great conversation, kind of back and forth, and love hearing all this from all of you. It looks like somebody else is dropping something in the comments possibly right now. If you do have a travel memory you would like to share from 2021, feel free to drop that there. I could go back and think about several, to be honest with you. Of course, the 50th anniversary at Walt Disney World, that was a phenomenal time, and it was an honor to be able to be there through part of that celebration, part of that weekend, being able to see the last showing of Happily Ever After. That was a really moving night for a lot of folks, because that was a fantastic show. Sort of the message, the story that went behind it wasn't super heavy on pyrotechnics and fireworks. It did have some in projections, but definitely had a really cool show and honestly a really great fan base as well. There were a lot of folks that were sad to see that go. Being able to see Disney Enchantment and Harmonious for the first time, as I mentioned earlier, and also really, if you rewind back to almost a year ago, in January of 2021, my family accompanied me to the time that I would have been there for the marathon experience on that trip. That was actually canceled last year, moved fully virtual. Part of the reason we're doing it this year. And we stayed at Disney's Beach Club in a deluxe studio room. Absolutely loved that resort so much for so many reasons. The location of it is amazing. It's right there on Crescent Lake, right next to Disney's Yacht Club, and the rest of the Disney's Beach Club side, and across the way from Disney's Boardwalk Inn in the villas there, and also a short walk from the Swan and Dolphin as well. You could walk to Epcot from there, about 5-10 minutes. You could also walk to Disney's Hollywood Studios, would take you about 15 or 20, but you could walk there from there as well. You could take a boat over to those two parks. You're within walking distance from a Skyliner station as well. So again, in one of the kind of the features of that particular hotel is Stormalong Bay, which is the main kind of featured water park for Disney's Yacht and Beach Club and the villas over at Disney's Beach Club. And one of the reasons that Disney doesn't allow pool hopping is because these places are so popular. This is arguably the best pool on property. It has this amazing pirate ship slide that's pretty long that goes in. It has a freshwater sand bottom pool in it. They have an amazing sun deck. They have several sort of jacuzzi areas. There's sort of a sand beach area where kids can play. It's a pretty big pool. And one of the things that was most memorable to me about experiencing that pool is we went out there one morning. I think it was a Sunday morning that the Travelmation retreat kicked off. We'd spent, I don't know, maybe 2-3 days in the parks together as a family before the agency retreat stuff got started and all the seminars and meetings and things that I had to be a part of. And we spent some time at the pool that morning. Now, it's January in Florida, and you're probably saying to yourself, well, in a large part of the country, even the world, people aren't hopping in pools a whole lot that time of year, and you would be right. Not a lot of people are, but that particular day, the high was supposed to be, I think, in the mid 70s, possibly low 80s. So we were like, we'll give it a try, and it got down to, I think maybe around the 50s at night. And those pools are heated, which is, nice and encouraging. But I tell you what, like, we got in the pool and it was cold. It was cold, but my kids wanted to go down those water slides so much. So we did. And we got cold. And we cried. Well, I didn't cry. Almost. Maybe a little bit. About it being so cold. But we ended up swimming around for a few minutes. And, my kids were a little bit kind of afraid of going down the water slides at first. But we eventually, not all of them, but the older ones, kind of went down for a little bit, and it was just so much fun. And by the way, like, if you go to that, if you stay there at Disney's Yacht or Beach Club ever, you go to Stormalong Bay and you're like, well, why isn't there a water slide for little kids? Because usually there is one. Just so you know, if you go over to the main kind of pirate ship side, there's a small water slide on the back side of it, that's more towards like the Sand Bay, kind of beach area of Crescent Lake, because the water slide itself sort of goes over the walkway for that kind of goes around Crescent Lake there at Disney's Beach Club. So really fun. Absolutely love that water slide and those memories we created there. Being able just to kind of walk to Epcot, and enjoy all that there is there. I remember eating at Le Cellier with my family. It was oh my goodness, that steak was so good. I still think about it to this day. Had the beer cheese soup that was there, because it is a soup, contrary to my friend Dave Adams' opinion over at Unrelated at Birth and Top of the World. That is a soup, and I think he's come to. He used to think call it a dip because it's served with pretzel bread, but it's pretty tasty. Pretty tasty. Let's go over to another memory real quick. I could talk about that trip all day long, but Laura says, we were just in the pool at Sapphire Falls in December, so earlier this month, started in the hot tub, then went down to the water slide to the main pool and back to the hot tub. So perfect and fun. Yeah, I love doing that too, like when we're able to. That's actually, like, in some of these Run Disney groups that I'm a part of on social, that's one thing that some people will do to, like, aid in recovery, sort of the hot and cold part of it. So yeah, the pools are gonna be cool, but you'll be able to kind of utilize the hot tubs that are around as well at the Disney resorts. You can do the same thing. Sapphire Falls is one of the middle tier resorts over at Universal. Great resort, great hotel, a lot of good food, great rooms, and great amenities like the pools that she is mentioning for you. And we'll be digging into again some more Universal content as well, as I mentioned, when we go there here in a couple of weeks and spend some time between Universal or Orlando, the Universal Orlando Studios, and also Universal Studios Orlando, rather, and also Islands of Adventure that's over that way. So excited to see some Harry Potter stuff again, maybe ride Velocicoaster for the first time. Still haven't done that yet. It was open when I was there back in May for previews with my daughter on a daddy-daughter trip. That was another phenomenal highlight for me personally. And we spent an entire episode talking about that trip and how much fun it was. My daughter and I made some incredible memories. She's 9 now, and we got to do a lot of cool stuff. She's a big Harry Potter fan, and we rode Hogwarts Express a bunch of times, did all the Harry Potter rides a bunch of times, went on Flight of the Hippogriff a bunch, and even spent some time in Seuss Landing and whatnot. So great experience. So again, so many cool memories. And so why do we talk about all this stuff? Because these memories matter. Like, I think there's a reason why people share this stuff, not just to be heard, but because these things are important to them. Like, they allow, these experiences allow them to bond with and create memories around what matters most. And it's not these destinations. It's not like Mickey and Walt and the castle and stuff. It's not Hogwarts and the wands and the things, right? It's the people. It's the people that matter. It's the things we do together to bond closer, with our families and friends that matter a lot to us. There are reasons why people, do propose, and in some cases get married down in some of these resorts in Central Florida, right? I get that, but at the end of the day, it's about the people. And like, I'm going to look back at my daughter. Hopefully we'll look back on years to come on that trip that we took together. My wife and her are busily like fantasizing a mommy daughter trip for her 10th birthday. That's one of the things we're going to do for all our kids when they turn 10, is take them on a trip to Florida, and they kind of get to pick, well, within reason, what they do. So a lot of really cool stuff out there. People having amazing experiences along the way. And just want to thank everybody out there that has listened to this show over this past year, and also trusted me with some of their travel planning details to allow me to partner with them in this. It's been a blast, and I can't wait to see what 2022 is going to look like for us and the amazing memories that we're going to create then. There's a lot of promise out in the future, and have some really cool stuff, by the way, that I'm going to be announcing on January 1st on social as well. So I'm not going to kind of bait you with a very vague post like a solid color background question. Make sure to tune in. Got some important stuff I'm talking about and not actually telling you anything. I'm kind of doing that now. But I've got some stuff that I'm just really excited to talk about and chat about on January the 1st, as far as where travel is going for me, my family, and where the future is headed. So thank you all so much for joining me for another fun episode of Travel Tips Tuesday. Again, we'll be back next week with my wife as we debrief our recent trip to Walt Disney World together during the Epcot International Festival of the Holidays, and talk about all things holiday at Walt Disney World. And be on the lookout again for some great live content and real-time content coming to you from Walt Disney World and Universal here in the next week or so. So you'll have an awesome rest of your night, a great close to 2022, and a very wonderful and happy new year. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.